So welcome to the channel. I'm all over the place at the moment because I've just got here and it's about an hour and a half until high water. Yes, I'm out sea fishing. I'm down at the beach, just down by the coffee cup. I haven't been fishing. I had COVID over Christmas. I'll explain everything in a minute, but we're down the beach. We're on a ray hunt, believe it or not, in January. And I'm itching to get a couple of rods set up and get them out. So as soon as I've got a couple of rods out, I'll come back and have a chat with you. So I can have a chat with you now. I've just got one rod set up. I've put the rig on, put the lead on, just about to put some bait on. Now for bait, I have got some blacks and I've got a bit of squid as well. And it is all looking a bit frozen. It's all a bit lastminute.com. Finished work and get myself down here with what little time I've got, to be honest. So I'm always going to be racing against the clock, unfortunately, with one of these sessions. But I'm going to put half the squid and a bit of black lug in a bait mate, mate, and just get a bait on and get it out there, to be honest. So I'm going to put half the squid and some black lug in there. It's going to be untidy, but I just want to get a bait out there in that water because it's been so long. Like I was saying before, I haven't been fishing for so long, before Christmas, and I had a couple of trips booked, planned over Christmas, and the dreaded COVID struck. Christmas Day I tested positive, which was absolutely rubbish, and as a consequence I had to isolate and then come out of isolation 10 days later, and then the weather was rubbish, so it wasn't good at all. But we have found a bit of time to get out now, and I'm here and I'm doing it. It's going to be dark in about half an hour, I think. I'm fishing up and over rig with a pennel on it, and as I said, I've got half a squid and I've got a bit of black lug on there as well. You never know what's going to be around at the moment. There's reports that there could be a few rays about. It's going to be white, could be a few dogfish. Bait mate, never got on with these things in the past. Just slide. I don't like them. I don't like them. Now I've got it all bound on, I can't get the thing off. This is the way forward. Mark Williams special. That's better. Now what's the difference? So there we go. Half a squid, a hook lovely and proud, and a bit of black lug as well. And that is ready to be clipped up and slung out into the surf. So guys, that's one rod out. the other one. I'm just about to put the rig on it. Just made up literally 2 rigs, well I made up 3 rigs this afternoon. I made up 2 of these up and over pennel rigs with a size 4.0 on the bottom and a 2.0 at the top. And I made a little 2 hook scratching rig as well, just in case things get a bit desperate and we need to catch a fish later on. But at the moment I'm quite happy to put 2 rods out, 2 big baits, chill and enjoy the session. So like I said, I've got about an hour and a bit of the tide coming up, and then obviously I'm going to fish it down a bit and see how that goes. Fish the ebb a little bit. It's not something I usually do. Usually I think top of the tide, down for an hour and then go home, but you never ever catch anything on that down for an hour bit, or at least I haven't had a lot of success. Right, so let's get some more bait on the go. So I've got another half a squid there. There's a wasp on there. Can you believe there's a wasp in January eating my squid? Needless to say, that is now an ex-wasp. What is a wasp doing here in January? It's just weird. That is nice and juicy. That is absolutely lovely. Looks nice and proud. Squid and black. Stick the top hook in. And there we go. Beautiful. Ready to go. So now I've got 2 rods out there in the ocean, I can chill. It's only because I was up against it time-wise. Usually I like to get here at low tide and fish the tide all the way up to the top. I think that, here at least, seems to be the best time. But I've seen so much stuff online recently with people fishing the ebb, fishing the tide down and catching, you know, down for a few hours, fish the low water and then back up. So it feels nice to be out again. And I've got new rods and reels, which is always nice. So I can have a little bit of a tidy up now. Nearly had a bit of a mare. I had a baited rig and I was just down there trying to get a bit of water in the bucket just so I can rinse my fingers after baiting up. And dog was in the bivvy. Just thought, don't pick up that size 4.0. Got to be so careful. Dogs should be on leads as well on the beach. But yeah, I've got a flask of coffee, I've got a flask of soup, I've got a box of squid, 2 wraps of sand eels, and a few hours. So maybe we can catch our first fish of 2022. Happy New Year, by the way, everyone. Well, it's a bit late for that now, I know, but it's been a bit of a mare, I've got to say. I didn't get any fishing done before Christmas because it was the run up to Christmas and it was all a bit hectic. But with a couple of weeks off over Christmas, I thought it's going to be perfect. I'll be able to get out, maybe do some sea fishing, get down to NMG or maybe lakeside and do some stuff. And I was really excited for it. And then disaster struck, COVID struck, and that just knocked it on the head. Couldn't do anything. I obviously had to isolate for however many days and then back to work and back to normality, and it's just been a case of trying to find a bit of a break in the weather more than anything, because the weather has been absolutely horrible for a couple of weeks. It's just been wet and miserable. So I'm going to put that tray there and I'm going to put my box there. I've got a hat to put on, I've got a big coat to put on if it gets cold later, but I don't think it's going to get cold because it's overcast. They give the possibility of a little bit of rain, possibly. There's been a few spots of rain earlier when I was getting everything ready and making up rigs in the shed and this, that and the other. I'm just going to finish off building the bivvy because I've got this little thing to do just to finish off the top bit, and then probably going to sit back, have a cup of coffee, watch the rod tips and see. So we're starting to lose the light pretty rapidly now, which I think will only go to make the fishing better. Temperature's starting to drop a bit, but it's by no means cold. Like I said, I've got a hat and I've got my coat as well, and I'm reluctant to put it on straight away. I want to feel the benefit of it later on. I've even got my little hand warmer as well. The rods aren't doing a lot. They've probably been out about 20 minutes now. Decent big baits, big hooks, loads of scent. If I struggle later on, I might put a 2-hook flapper on, smaller baits, and see if we can pick up a whiting or a dab. Just something to save the blank, but I'm not that bothered. I just wanted to get out fishing. It's been so long. I haven't, with work and everything else, I haven't had the opportunity to get out carp fishing at all. So at least down here, I can get down here for a couple of hours and just get it out in the system. And there's a chance of anything at the moment. There's been reports of rays still being caught. There's always a chance of a dogfish, maybe a small strap conger, but it's going to be waiting out there if they can get their mouths around them 4 O's. And codling, eh? The elusive unicorn. You just never know. I don't think it's the right conditions. It's a bit too calm at the moment. And as yet, I can't see anybody else fishing. Not that way anyway. Just a few dog walkers and a couple of swimmers. And they ran into the surf earlier. And then quickly got back out again. In January, you can only imagine how cold that water is. So I bought myself a few presents. A few post-Christmas presents to myself. I've been messing around with sea fishing for a while, as you know. There's been a few videos up on the channel, but I haven't had any out and out sea fishing stuff. I mean, the rod hold all that I had was an old canvas vintage rod hold all. the rods, I've gone away from the multiplier because the multiplier that I had for the beach, I put braid on it and I now use it when I go out on the boat. So I've got a couple of boat rods and a couple of multipliers with braid on. So what it's left me with is a couple of old fixed balls with like 12-pound line on, an old pike rod and an old spod rod. And I just thought, you know what, because I do a little bit of sea fishing, I do like a bit of fishing on the beach throughout the year, I like to mix it up a little bit, you know. I just thought I'm going to treat myself to a couple of purpose-built beach rods and a couple of reels. And I also got myself a lovely Sonic rod holder. What else did I buy? I bought some of them Tronics Pro lead bags that Mark had on his channel the other night. They're brilliant, they are. Just keeps everything in the box organised. I'm famous for being unorganised, and my tackle box is no different. You open up the tackle box and it's like, where is everything? But having everything in little pouches and cases, you can just get to stuff when you need it. I've got myself a rig wallet and 2 rods and 2 reels. And the rods are Penn Wrath Surf Cast 14 foot, 5 to 7 ounce I think casting weights, and I love them. They're long, you can get a really good cast with them, and the tips are quite fine. They go down quite fine, the tips, so you can really see a good bite indication on them. And the reels I went for a pair of Achios fire loops, long cast reels, and they're really nice. They look really nice. They perform pretty well. It's an overhead thump at the moment. I'm not casting it out very far. But I've probably got one out about 60 or 70 yards and one out about 80 yards. Just an overhead thump. Up and over rigs, which usually they do, and they did release on the cast. And fairly big baits as well, so it's not the most streamlined. I didn't really wind it up either, so just got them out there. Just wanted to be out there fishing. I'll probably give them about another 15-20 minutes, and then I'll get them in, snip the baits off, put some fresh ones on and get them back out again. So it's properly dark now, and two girls have just turned up about 50 yards down the beach, stripped off to their bikinis and just dived straight in the sea. Absolutely crackers. But the rods have been a bit quiet. I've had a few little knocks, but I have no doubt that it's whiting out there trying to strip the baits, trying to pull chunks off, but nothing that's made me jump up or anything yet. In a minute I'm going to prepare another bait ready to slide on, and I might put one of the rods down to a 2-hook flapper. I think I've got all my eggs in one basket at the moment, and although it doesn't bother me too much if I go home and I haven't caught anything, because it is a last minute trip, it still might be nice to catch something. So we're into proper darkness now. Probably got about half an hour before high water. I pulled in the right hand rod and the bait was pretty much untouched, to be honest. Black lug had a little bit taken out of it where they'd been pecking at it. So what I've done is I've left the left hand rod out there, and the right hand rod that I wound in, I've put that 2-hook flapper on, size 1/0 hooks on, not tiny hooks, but I've got black lug and little tipped off with squid on that rod, and I'm getting some bites on it already. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. Just having a cup of coffee now, keep myself warmed up. Temperature's definitely plummeting. Two girls that have been swimming, they're getting changed now, and from the squeals I think it was pretty cold out there. But yeah, cup of coffee, keep an eye on this rod. We might catch a fish. Just wanted to add, I don't think it's a very big tide. It's not coming up very far, and the tide isn't racing, it's not ripping. The first lead that I put out is holding, and the second rod I put out without grippers on, just so that it could sort of like do a bit of travelling, and it's not ripping its way down the beach at all. It's moved a bit, but not a lot. So I'm not sure if the little knocks that I had was the lead sort of finding its way along the gravel, or whether we've had a couple of knocks. But I'm not going to leave it too long. It's probably been out there about 10 minutes. I'm probably going to give it another 5 minutes and wind it in and have a look, see what the situation is. I might put a gripper on, but it's just a case of trial and error at the moment. Wow, we've got a blank saver. We've got, that fell off, that's handy, saves me having to unhook it. We have got a whiting. We've got a little whiting blank saver. I'm going to pop him in the bucket, rebait that rod up and put it back out again, because that worked. How about that? We caught a fish. We caught a fish. Right, baited up, back out. So I've got the rod back out now, and I can show you my prize. Look at that! That was the first fish I've caught for absolutely ages, and I'm actually a little bit chuffed about it. Rod's back out. I'm just about now to wind in the big bait rod and put another big bait out on that one, just freshen things up. So I am enjoying my time on the beach. It is lovely down here. The tide isn't doing a lot, but I did wind in the 2-hook flapper. I put back out again after I had that whiting. I changed up the bait on the big bait rod. I put that back out, and then I wound in the 2-hook flapper, and I had completely stripped bare hooks. and I think because it's moving around a little bit in the tide, even though there isn't a lot of tide, it's still bouncing around a little bit, and I can't tell whether it's a bite or the lead bouncing on the shingle. So I've put a gripper on that now, and it's out there. And I've got a nice big fresh bait out there as well. I haven't used a headlamp for absolutely months, and I turned it on, it was really bright, and I thought, brilliant, don't have to charge it. And it's going dim already. But I do have a spare. But yeah, lesson to be learned, always charge it. But I don't envisage me being here for ages. I mean, it's the top of the tide now. And I'll probably fish it down for an hour maybe. Tea time now, so I've got a flask of soup. I'm going to have a nice flask of soup while I'm watching these rods, and see where we go. But yeah, enjoying the session. It's lovely being out on the beach. It's not freezing cold. I've got my USB hand warmer with me, just in case my hands did get cold and I can warm them up, but they're not cold. And I have got another coat to put on, but I don't feel the need for it at the moment, so we're all good. And we are well and truly bagging up now. Ting number 2. Yep. Ting number 2. And I think that signals the end of that little flapper rod, because I think I could probably catch a white in every chuck. But I think I'm going to put out a bigger bait on both rods now, just for the last hour or so maybe. I had a fairly positive knock on the right hand rod, which has got a big bait on. Yeah, I think I'm going to put all my eggs in that basket. But there you go, ting number 2. So guys, I am winding it down now. The tide's retreating quite a bit, to be honest. I just had to walk out quite a bit on the sand to make that last cast. But I've got 2 rods out there now with big baits, half a squid and a couple of black lugs, all wrapped up nicely. So they're out there doing their thing for the last, I don't know, half an hour or so. I'm just cleaning up this flapper rig, getting all the old bits of bait off of it so that I can put that back in the wallet, ready for next time. Put a couple of fish on it. But I am going to sit back now. I'm going to clean this rig up. I'm going to get it back in its wallet. I'm going to have a little tidy up, put the bait back in the cool bag, dry the hooks as well. They always tend to go rusty on me. I don't think I pay enough attention to that. But I think if I dry the hooks before I put them back in the rig wallet, then that might be alright for the next session. If it's not, it's not, and I'll make up a new rig. Got no problem. It's a simple rig anyway, that one. Is that a rattle? Yeah, this is a simple rig. That is literally a 1 up, 1 down, no clip down or anything. Couldn't be any simpler. But it was effective. It got me a couple of fish. When the going was tough, we caught a couple of whitings and pulled the blank out of the bag. Pulled the blank out of the bag. That don't make no sense. So yeah, just putting these rigs back. Make sure that I dried the hooks off properly, just so they don't rust inside the wallet. That's good. Got to make some more rigs. Literally made 3 today. That's all I had time for, just in my lunch break. 3 little rigs, 2 up and overs, and that 2-hook flapper. And it was a really basic 2-hook flapper. Like I said, if them hooks do rust out before I go fishing again, I'll make another rig up. It's really no big deal. It was literally a 1 up, 1 down, not clipped down or anything, just a really standard rig. But it got me out of trouble. It saved the blank. So guys, that is it for me. 1 rod's packed away. I've just wound in the last one, and with that massive squid and lug bait on, there was a whiting on it. So we ended up with 3 whitings. The last one that I wound in, I got quite excited actually, because I had a decent bite on it, and something that I've never ever seen before. But the actual bait had slid up the main line, and the hook was bare, about a foot away from the actual bait. which is a little bit annoying. Not quite sure how it got up there, especially with the pennel. I'll have to look into that. But food for thought. But yeah, fantastic session. Lovely to get back out on the beach again. Can't remember the last time I actually went beach fishing and fishing in general. So chuffed to have got out, chuffed to have caught a couple of fish. Weather wasn't too bad. There wasn't a big tide. I don't think there was a lot about, to be perfectly honest, but we made the most of it. So thanks very much for watching. Where am I going to go next? Not a clue. Not a clue. I've got to sort my holidays out. I've got some holidays left to take. So I'm going to book a few days off between now and the end of March, and hopefully get down to NMG and do a couple of sessions. And I shall always be coming down here. Now I've got the rods. The rods and reels performed beautifully tonight. It was lovely to use proper beach rods and reels. So I'm definitely going to be doing some more of that over the coming weeks. Do a little bit of homework, find out what's fishing well, make some more rigs up so I've got a bit more of an option rather than just having 3 rigs in the wallet. But yeah, thanks again for watching, and tight lines, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers guys.